We're going to get started. Welcome back to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. This is the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour doubleheader match. JT Lyonnais versus Paul Metivier and Chris Salmons versus Todd Holbrook. It's good as always to have you along with us. I'm Steve Kelly on the call for a 3-ball spare in the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. The match format is 5 strings with 14 points on offer. 2 points per string. 4 for total pinfall with ties. Splitting points. It is good as always to have you along with us. That's going to be Todd Holbrook starting out. Todd Holbrook not on the head pin. And Chris Salmons on the head pin. Todd Holbrook narrowly misses. And so does Chris Salmons. And Holbrook will start with a 7. And Salmons will begin with a 9. Folks, as good as always to have you along with us. Again, 2 points per string, 4 for total pinfall with ties, splitting points down the center. It's good as, and this match was live streamed on February. What month is it? February 5th, 2025. That's Todd Holbrook down there against Chris Salmons. It's a head-to-head match tonight. And that's Todd Holbrook with a 6 drop. Chris Salmons to the right of the head pin. The spare leaves.
On YouTube. Oh, this is the Facebook.
Yeah. And that's Todd Holbrook. Just narrowly. Excuse me, Chris Salmons with a spare. We'll get settled in just a little bit here. That's a 9 box for Todd Holbrook. There we go. Be nice to see them in the correct orientation. I'll get the scoreboards up for you in just a moment here. So it's Chris Salmons on the left, away bowler. Todd Holbrook on the right. Todd Holbrook with a 9 drop. Chris Salmons with a split and a 7 fill. And that's a spare for Todd Holbrook. Chris Salmons on the 7-10-6. For a spare, it'll be a hard one. Beans the 10. And he's got one more to go. And that will be an 8 box for Christopher Salmons. After 3 boxes, Chris Salmons is at 34 after 3. And Todd Holbrook is at 26 after 3. And there's going to have to be a score correction down there as I see something happen down there. That's a 3 fill for Todd Holbrook. Chris Salmons is off to the left of off to the right of the head pin. Holbrook goes to follow up for a spare, and he's left with the 7 and the 9 on the deck. I am. Chris Salmons is just off to the object pin to the left. And actually, it appears to have been a 4 fill for Todd Holbrook. Bowler's call, as always. Just me way back here, just keeping track. So that's going to be a 9 box for Todd Holbrook, I believe. Chris Salmons will take an 8. It's 42 after 4 for Chris Salmons. And waiting on the score correction just to make sure I'm totally certain, but it should be 39 after 4 for Todd Holbrook. And it is. All right, so for those interested, I'd like to highlight a couple of things. First, this broadcast should have subtitles and live captioning enabled. So if you enjoy this feature, please feel free to enable it in the controls below. That's Todd Holbrook to the left of the head pin. That's Chris Salmons with a 7 drop split. Todd Holbrook. Just a little bit off. Leaves the 1 and the 10 for Salmons. Similar troubles. Both bowlers shooting for 8, 9, or 10 boxes. Holbrook first. He'll take 8. He'll have a 47 half to start out. That's a 51 half for Chris Salmons. So our first pair is done there, first half of the first game. Chris Salmons 51 with 1 mark. Todd Holbrook 47 with 1 mark. So tonight, this is our Class B matchup. Paul Metivier on the right and JT Lyonnais on the left. Paul Metivier opens up to the left of the head pin. JT Lyonnais. Similar story. Both bowlers with a pile of pins down there to work with. And Paul Metivier takes a few more out. Lyonnais punches one as well. Paul Metivier opens with a 9. JT with a 7. So, folks, keep an eye on the unofficial scoreboard on your screen. It's here for the benefit of the broadcast while the bowlers maintain the official book records separately. Scores may be subject to review or correction. And that's Paul Metivier with a split of an 8 drop. JT a split of his own. 8-10 for JT and 2-6 for Paul Metivier. He's just off by a little bit. JT beans 1 but leaves the other. No mark for either bowler. Metivier takes 9. JT also takes 9. 16 after 2 for Lyonnais and 18 after 2 for Paul Metivier. We'll start with our away bowler tonight, JT Lyonnais, Justin Lyonnais. Season record 80-60 with 10 matches played. At home, he's 49-35. Away, he's 31-25. Metivier starts out with a split, a 7 drop. JT starts out with a not a lemon drop, a half Worcester. When you punch out the 2 and the 8, or just a 3 and the 9. And Paul Metivier is still hunting for a mark, hasn't found it yet. JT is right on the money, but too much on the money, left with a banana split now. 10 box for Paul Metivier. JT takes 8 for 24 after 3. Paul Metivier, 28 after 3. Justin Lyonnais' season average is 110.36. Home average 110.27 at Exeter Bowling Lane's Shooters Sports Pub in Exeter, New Hampshire. And when he's away, which would be tonight at Leda Lanes, his away average is 110.5. Metivier starts out right at the head pin. JT's got a 7 drop and a split, the 7-10-6. Metivier's got the left side 4 horsemen, 1-2-4-7. Metivier's just off. Leaves 1. JT tries to make 2 take 1, but only 2 takes 2. Metivier will take a 10 for 38 after 4. JT will take 10 for 34 after 4. All these scores are confirmed as of right now. And that's a spread eagle for Paul Metivier. Right down the center, a 4-pin academic spread eagle. That's an 8 drop for JT, a 9 drop for JT, leaving the 6. Here comes Paul Metivier. Takes 3 on the left and leaves the right side 3. JT will take a spare in his first mark of the match. Paul Metivier will clean up for a 9, and that is the half. That's 44 after 5 and a bonus for JT Lyonnais, and 47 after 5 for Paul Metivier without a mark. This B&E doubleheader tonight. Here on the lanes at Leda Lanes, JT Lyonnais at Paul Metivier and Chris Salmons at Todd Holbrook. Again, it's great to have you along with us tonight. This busy Wednesday night at Leda Lanes for some B&E action. Back to our E-class matchup, Chris Salmons. Nearly a strike and a 9-drop on the head pin. Holbrook with a 7-drop on the head pin as well, leaves the Candlepin corner on the right side. That's a spare for Chris Salmons on the single. Nicely done. Todd Holbrook, spare as well, double spares, stereo spares for both of our bowlers. Chris Salmons will fill his spare first. Ooh. That's a 2-fill for Chris Salmons on the right side. This is a chance to capitalize for Todd Holbrook. He fills with 5. And it looks like there is an issue with a sensor down there, counting an extra ball on the automatic score system at Leda, so that's just going to get corrected real quick. Here's Chris Salmons. So left the head pin, leaves 2 on the deck. Todd Holbrook now. For a spare shot. Bucket of 5 on the right. He's on it. Oh, and he leaves 1. It was a great-looking shot. Calls an audible. So let's talk about Chris Salmons. He has a season record of 88 and 66 with 11 matches played. At home at Riverwalk Lanes, he's 40 and 30. Away, he's 48 and 36. 10 for Holbrook, 9 for Salmons. 72 and 7 for Chris Salmons and 72 and 7 for Todd Holbrook. Dead heat. Season average for Chris Salmons, 98.91. When he's home, he's 99.36 on average. Away, he's 98.53, and he's to the right of the head pin there. Todd Holbrook's on the head pin, and he splits it up, drops 7, leaves the 7, 10, and the 4. Here comes Chris Salmons. Missing everything, no mark. That's going to be painful, especially with the score being tied as it is. But Holbrook has a difficult split for a spare as well, and he tries to make 2 take 1. He kicks the 4 to the left side wall, takes the 7, but the 10 does not go. Salmons tries to clean up and almost gets the PGS, but he'll take a 9. Be a 9 as well for Todd Holbrook, so it's a stay of execution on the score. Still 81 love after 8 for both bowlers, Holbrook and Salmons. Tied at 81. There's one extra another thing they got to correct real quick. But I'll let them figure that out. Chris Salmons drops 7. Missed the head pin. Holbrook to the left of the head pin as well. Let's see Chris Salmons try to spare this up. He's off to the left. Holbrook's off to the right. No mark for either bowler. They're shooting for 10 boxes. Chris Salmons 8, 9, or 10. On the 1 and the 2, it'll be 8 for 89 and 9. Todd Holbrook is shooting at the center diamond in a sleeper pin, the 8 pin behind it. Wow, that was a weird shot by Todd Holbrook right on the object pin, but it should be 88 and 9 for Holbrook and 89 and 9 for Salmons. Another sensor issue down there on the automatic scoreboard, but that's a 7-drop and a split for Chris Salmons. Holbrook will lemon drop on the 6 pin. Lemon drop is when you punch out the 4 or the 6 pin on the first ball. Oh, and Chris Salmons almost gets a pretty spare, leaves the 6. Todd Holbrook on the revenge for the lemon drop. He's off to the right. No mark for either bowler. With a difference of 1 in the 9th, this could be big. That comes down to 1 box. Chris Salmons might have this. He'll take a 10. That's 99. So he will take the first game no matter what Todd Holbrook gets here. That's a 5 box for 93, I believe. I'll confirm those scores in a moment. 99, I believe, for Chris Salmons is confirmed, and 93 for Todd Holbrook is also confirmed on the scoreboard up there. JT starts out with a 6 fill. And Paul will take a right side half Worcester. For the spare, JT will take everything. Actually looked away for a moment, didn't even realize everything went. 1 pin fell last, and that's a spare for Paul Metivier as well. Both bowlers with spares, 60 after 6 and a bonus for JT Lyonnais, and 57 and a bonus after 6 for Paul Metivier. Scores are confirmed. Tonight I'm going to have to spend a lot of time confirming scores because we seem to have a bit of an automatic sensor scoring issue down there, so bear with me on that. JT on the fill, he fills with 9. Metivier, another half Worcester and a 2 fill. JT misses his spare opportunity, gutters it on the right side. Paul Metivier in the head pin, a pocket. 7-10 are left on the deck. JT will take a 9, missing it again. Paul Metivier will take a 9 as well. Should be 68 in 7 for Metivier. 78 in 7 for Lyonnais. Just pausing to confirm those scores. While they're waiting for that, so we are at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. It's a busy house, especially on weeknights. Former home of WNDS Candlepin Stars and Strikes with Kegler's Den as well. Plenty of things to do at Leda Lanes, even if you're not into bowling. There's even cornhole tournaments, there's poker, karaoke, billiards, all kinds of arcade machines and everything. Come on down to Leda Lanes on Amherst Street in Nashua, New Hampshire. It's JT to the left of the head pin. Paul Metivier also left of the head pin. Not much to say about those shots otherwise. JT 13679. He's off the object pin, leaves the object pin. Paul Metivier is off to the left as well. JT takes 9. 87. Metivier punches down the center, takes 8. That will be 76 for Metivier. (87-76). That is confirmed. Lyonnais and Metivier, respectively. JT Lyonnais, our away bowler tonight. He's off the left and washes out a few. Metivier. Head pin, 6 drop. 4-6-3-10. JT's on the 1-2 pocket, leaves the 5 and the 7. Metivier, difficult split conversion, leaves 1. Nice 10 box for JT Lyonnais. Paul Metivier, similar thing. 10 boxes for both. 96 and 9 for Metivier. 97 and 9 for JT. Or 86 and 9, excuse me, for Paul Metivier. Here comes JT Lyonnais on the 1-3 pocket. 7 drop. Paul Metivier, he had a obvious issue with his release there. Lemon drops the 4-pin. JT, though, with a spare. He's on the board. Metivier tries as he might, but he can't quite finish off the lemon drop. Leaves the right side check mark, the 5-6-3-10. He'll take a 9 box. And real quick, if I could sneak this in, here's the spare by JT Lyonnais on the 5-2-8. Watch this go. Plows down the 3 pins. And here's the fill now for JT. It'll be a 6. 113 first game for JT. Paul Metivier 95. And I'm just double checking. 113 to 95 is confirmed. All 4 bowlers confirmed for scores. JT Lyonnais will take the first game. 113 to Paul Metivier's 95. Chris Salmons will take the first game. 99 to Todd Holbrook's 93. The away bowlers triumph in the first game across the board. So enough about the first game. Let's go to the second game. Welcome to the second game. Well, second game in a moment. Anyways, we're at Leda lanes, so it's 36 lanes, 18 on each side. All wood approaches and lanes. Automatic score system by Cubic AMF. Hosted Men's Worlds 2024 back in November. Here we go, Todd Holbrook. Starts out with a 6 drop, not on the head pin, neither bowler on the head pin. 6 drops for both, actually. Here comes Todd Holbrook on the 4 horsemen. Or not the 4 horsemen, just a pile of 4. Salmons on the 4 horsemen left side. He'll punch 2. Oh, well, punch the 2 and leave everything else, leaving the 1, the 4, and the 7. Todd Holbrook on the 1 and the 9. A 9 box for Holbrook. And a 10 box for Salmons. So again, it's Leda Lanes. Leda Lanes has been around the block for quite a while, since 1959, 60 some odd years ago. Family owned and operated in Nashua, New Hampshire. Founded by Edgar and Ray Simoneau, passed down through Sean Howard, Linda Howard, and Alexis Spooley, along with Matt Susi, Joe Booley, and Nick Susi. Plenty of other hardworking folks here at Leda Lanes. Speaking of hardworking, Nick Susi went down just to correct a sensor. Actually, there he is right there. He's just going down to take a look. Big props to Nick Susi, who actually was one of the runners-up of the recent New England Knockout Doubles tournaments. This past, which is wrapped up a couple of days ago, the finals. And he and Joe Booley didn't win, but they got much farther than me and Paul Metivier did, because they knocked me and Paul Metivier out early on in the tournament. And they went on to place and win some cash. So congratulations to them. Nick Susi, also in the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. Having a very great season. I want to say he's in Class C North. That's just completely from memory off the top of my head. It's Nick Susi just doing some mechanic work down there on the sensor. Big thanks to Nick Susi for working on that. Us bowlers can be a bunch of needy folks, so I always appreciate all the work down there for Nick Susi and company. Having also worked at Leda Lanes myself, I also know it's a lot of work under pressure. Anyways, Todd Holbrook. Drops 7. Leaves the head pin, the 1 and the 2. Salmons drops a few as well. He misses the head pin. Holbrook. Well, you saw it in his face there. He just completely missed. Salmons is on the target, but a little bit too light. No mark for either bowler. Both shooting for 8, 9, or 10 boxes. Holbrook. We'll take a 9. 18 after 2. Salmons also takes a 9. Heartbreaking boxes for both of our bowlers here. 9 after 9 and 2 for both of them. 19 after 2 for Salmons. 18 after 2 for Todd Holbrook. Todd Holbrook in the green on your right, and Chris Salmons in the green on your left. Todd Holbrook with a 7 drop and a split. Salmons with a 6 drop and a split. Let's see what they got down there. 7, 4, 6. Hi, Nick. How are you doing? And the 5, 6, 3, 7 for Chris Salmons. You're right there.
Yeah.
You just got your face right there, down the wide shot.
Yeah. I'm glad.
Gave you a whole monologue while you were fixing stuff down there.
Yeah.
So check that out later.
Yeah.
That's a spare for Chris Salmons. And I think a 7 box for Todd Holbrook. And yes, that is confirmed. Nick Susi loves to be on camera, for sure. 29 after 3 and a bonus for Salmons, and 25 after 3 for Todd Holbrook, and everything about that is confirmed. Todd Holbrook 102 and 52 for the season, 56 and 28 home, 46 and 24 away. 6 fill for Salmons. Holbrook on the eagle, sails through the center. Salmons on the 1, 2, 9, 10. Takes the 2, leaves the 1, the 9, and the 10. No mark for either bowler. Todd Holbrook completes the eagle, and his reward is a 4 box for 29 after 4. Salmons will take an 8. Mr. Chris Salmons. One thing you will note about Chris Salmons, and it's something I do too as a bowler, Chris Salmons releases on his right hand and slides on his right foot, just as I do. That's not what a lot of other bowlers do. It's Todd Holbrook with a 7 drop. Chris Salmons off to the right. Todd Holbrook is looking at a tough shot. The 1, the 7, and the 9 on the deck. Holbrook on the head pin, on the object pin, and nothing more. Salmons on all but a pile of pins on the right side. He's left with the accordion shot, the 7, 8, 4, 5. Holbrook for a 10. I believe that will be a fouled 8 box. I'll preemptively put in an 8, and we'll see if it's corrected. 7 for Salmons. And it should be 50 after 5 for Chris Salmons. That's what's up there. And 38 after 5 for Todd Holbrook. And I'll double check what happened down there for that. It appears he was given a 5 in the 4th. So again, I'm going to follow the bowlers. So it is not the streamer's responsibility for the score accuracy. It is up to the bowlers. So always bowlers call. Paul Metivier. He's off to the right. And Lyonnais on your left. That's a strike for Paul Metivier. My apologies, I was slow in the draw for that one. Lyonnais for the spare. He punches hard down the center. It was the right kind of shot, but he left 1 on the deck. Lyonnais will take a 9. That's a big moment for Paul Metivier with that strike. Could be an opportunity for him to pull ahead. Paul Metivier took ahead of 95 in the first game to Justin Lyonnais' 113 with a double. Head pin, 7 drop. 8 drop, 9 drop. Great shot by Paul Metivier. Leaves the 10. Lyonnais off to the right, 5 drop. Paul Metivier on a single pin spare, and he's got 9 so far on the strike fill. Let's see what Metivier can cook up. He can cook up a spare on strike. Yes, sir. 30 after 2 and a bonus. But that's a nice spare by JT Lyonnais as well. Let's see if we got that. There's the single for Metivier. Like it when I get 2 spares in a row on the replay. And then look at that 5 drop spare for Justin Lyonnais. 19 and a bonus after 2. Metivier. Here he goes. On the head pin. Strike! And a strike for Paul Metivier. 3 marks in a row. JT splits with 6. 4, 6, 3, 7. He'll punch 1 and leave the 3, the 4, and the 7. 50 and a bonus for Paul Metivier after 3. And that'll be an 8 for JT Lyonnais. 50 and a bonus after 3 for Paul Metivier. Strike, spare, strike. Our bowlers are bowling at a faster pace tonight, which is actually catching me off guard a little bit. Let's see what Paul Metivier can do here. He's on the head pin again. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, it was almost a strike. Almost another strike. That was almost 3 strikes in 4 boxes. Narrowly missed strikes. That could have been a 4-bagger in a different universe. JT's got some backdoor action. Drops 5. Paul Metivier on a single. 9 fills so far on the strike. Yes, sir. That's a strike. Spare on strike. JT tries to spare it up, but like in a 70 and a bonus after 4 for Paul Metivier. He's dialed in. That's a 10 boxer. JT Lyonnais, meanwhile, 43 after 4. Paul Metivier has caught fire on this chilly night at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Very chilly night. It was a chilly day, honestly, all day. Paul Metivier has dumped some kerosene on everything. And look at that, on the headpin again. 8 drop and another potential spare opportunity. Paul Metivier, and that's a split for JT Lyonnais, 2 in the 10. So Paul Metivier, he's got wood on the 5 and the 9. This should be a gimme, should be a perfect half. And that's a spare, that's a perfect mark half for Paul Metivier. 88 half. And that's a 9 for JT Lyonnais. 88 half for Paul Metivier. 2 strikes, 3 spares. Holy moly, that is if you don't like that, you don't like Candlepin bowling, folks. 2 strikes and 3 spares for Paul Metivier. JT Lyonnais with 1 mark, 52, 88 and a bonus for Paul Metivier. That whole half is highlight reel worthy. Salmons, meanwhile, it seems Paul Metivier has really warmed up that particular lane, lane 32. He drops 8, splits 8. Both bowlers with nice first balls. Holbrook with a 9 drop on the 5 pins. Salmons on the 6 and the 7. He misses everything, though. The 6 could have been kicked over to the 7, but he had to hit it. Holbrook plays the 5, and that's a mark for Todd Holbrook. Salmons. That was the shot. That was the shot. That is, unfortunately, we call that a Paul Grant special, where you miss the second, get the third. That's a $1 donation to Candlepin's per cancer per occurrence. Paul Grant is always watching. So, we have Todd Holbrook on a spare and Chris Salmons, who could have had a spare if the third ball was the second ball. Oh, and hey, good thing it wasn't a spare because he completely missed. Todd Holbrook on the head pin. Ooh, that's a capitalization moment right there. Put an exclamation point on that spare. 7 on the fill, 55 and 6 for Holbrook. Salmons on the retry. Drops 4. Back to Holbrook. Wow, he placed the wood and takes nothing. Got completely roadblocked, completely stuffed. And Salmons with a hard-fought 5, I believe. And Holbrook will take an 8. And it is a 5 box for Chris Salmons. 65 for Salmons in the 7th and 63 in the 7th for Todd Holbrook. Hope you're enjoying this match. I'm Steve Kelly, the call. My apologies if my voice occasionally falters a little bit. Got a bit of a frog in my throat. That's a split for Chris Salmons on the 9 and the 10. Todd Holbrook to the left of the headpin. And Salmons. Oh, and he'll spare it up. Oops. And Holbrook is still working on... It's a working box, I guess. That's probably the nicest way to put it. He's got the 1, the 5, the 3, and the 10. Salmons just got a spare. Todd Holbrook will take 2 and leave 2 for an 8 box. 75 and a bonus in the 8th for Salmons and 71 after 8 for Holbrook. Salmons 8 for 18 on the head pin with 6 splits. Holbrook 8 for 18 on the head pin with 4 splits. Mostly even. Salmons working ball drops 6. Wasn't on the head pin. Fills with 6. Holbrook's off to the left of the head pin, but gets a nice 6 drop as well. Let's see what Chris Salmons has on offer. And he spares it up. Great spare by Chris Salmons. Todd Holbrook. Oh, he's off to the left. No mark. Chris Salmons on 2 marks in a row. Todd Holbrook. He takes a 9. Let's look at that spare by Chris Salmons again. Look at that shot. Excellent delivery on the 1-3 pocket, and it goes. Chris Salmons filling a mark. To the right of the head pin. Drops 5. Fills with 5. Holbrook just a little bit off. He released a little bit oddly early. He's left with the 1, the 5, the 3, the 6, the 8, the 9, and the 10. And yeah, and actually there might be something about that piece of debris that appeared to come up from the ground. Got a souvenir, a literal piece of wood at the foul line. Salmons takes a few, leaves 2. Holbrook. Same story, no mark for either bowler. Chris Salmons at 96 and 9. He's going to take the second game with that 10 box for 106. He'll take 2 games in a row for a 2-game total of 205. 8 box for Holbrook for a 2-game total of 181. Although it appears to be 106 for Chris, and we'll figure that out in just a moment. It appears to have been a 5 fill. So again, it is up to the bowlers to make the determinations on the scores. So that's JT Lyonnais with a split, and Metivier with a 4 fill and a split. So 92.5 for Metivier. No mark though. That ends the streak of marks for Paul Metivier. JT will take a 10. Lyonnais will take a 10. 62 and 6. Metivier will take a 7. Excuse me. It shall be 99 and 6 for Paul Metivier and 62 and 6 for JT Lyonnais. Here comes JT Lyonnais. To the right of the head pin, drops 5. 1, 2, 4, 7, 10. Paul Metivier to the left of the head pin as well, drops 6. Metivier had a perfect half of marks. Now he's struggling on the opposite lane. JT punches 1, leaves the 1, the 4, the 7, and the 10. Paul Metivier 1, 3, 6, 8. Punches 1. Both bowlers suddenly punching. They're really trying to push. That'll be an awkward 6 box for JT Lyonnais, 68 and 7. Paul Metivier takes an 8. 68 and 7 for JT Lyonnais. 107 and 7 for Paul Metivier. JT splits 6. 4, 6, 2, 10. No wood. Paul Metivier with that nice right corner ball, and will be a strike. A wiggly 9-drop. Leaves the 5 with wood. Lyonnais takes 2 of the 4, excuse me. Paul Metivier on the 5 pin. Yes, sir. It goes. Spare for Metivier, 117 and a bonus. That's 10 box for Lyonnais cleaning up, 78 and 8. Paul Metivier, after not taking the first game with a 95 to JT's 113, has suddenly come roaring back to take everything back. So stay tuned for the revenge of Paul Metivier. JT Lyonnais. Head pin 6 drop. Paul Metivier. Both bowlers in blue. Oh, and wow, I think that's going to be a 3 fill. Cuts the 3 pin through the mid and back rows diagonally. JT, though, that's an awesome spare. We'll get a replay of that in just a moment. Paul Metivier tries to clean it up, but can't quite do much with what he was given. So he's at 120 and 8. And he'll conclude with a 9 box for 129 and 9. Let's look at JT Lyonnais' checkmark spare while we have a free moment on the 7-4-5-2. He used the sidewall to get the extra kick. Comes JT Lyonnais. He needs big pins, mucho pins. And 9 ain't bad. He's at 97 and 9 with that bonus. Paul Metivier, though, who cannot be stopped right now. On the head pin, well, you can get stopped by a spread eagle, 4-pin drop. JT will take another spare. That's 107 and a bonus in the 10th. Metivier, oh, a heartbreaker. He's been just getting some of these really nasty leaves. It's never fun when you get stuffed like that a little bit. So it's a 7-box, 136 for Paul Metivier. It's kind of the game that could have been much higher, but you know, it is what it is. JT to conclude, to close out. It's going to be a 4-fill for 111. 111 to 136 is confirmed. And the 105 to 88 is confirmed. These are your confirmed second scores. JT Lyonnais with a 111 in the second game. Falls to Paul Metivier's 136 in the second. 224 Lyonnais, 231 Metivier. Metivier's taking the total at this point. Chris Salmons 105, Todd Holbrook 88, 204 to 188, 181 respectively. And back to the action. Faster than I can talk. Start the third game. Bear with me one moment. I will... No headpin shot for either Salmons nor Holbrook. No mark for Holbrook. No mark for Salmons. $10 Holbrook, 9 Salmons. Okay, so now that I've caught my breath a little bit, Todd Holbrook, season average 97.36, home average 97.47, away average 97.24, high single 136, high 548. Punches the left side half Worcester. Chris Salmons, 6 drop, 12710. It's Todd Holbrook on the Worcester. Takes 2 more. Doubles the score. Chris Salmons sails through the void, and the void stares back. Todd Holbrook has 20 strikes, 79 spares, 97 tens, a 36% perfect box percentage, 5,355 seasonal total pins, 4 for Holbrook, and 6 for Salmons. Correction, 5 for Holbrook, it looks like. 15 after 2 for both. Again, I gotta follow the bowlers. Bowlers call. So neither bowler on the headpin there. Todd Holbrook, 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 10. Takes 3, leaves 3. Salmons on the 6-pack. Check his ID. He takes 3 of 6. Is drinking responsibly, but doesn't get a mark for it. Holbrook for the 10-box. We'll take 8. Salmons will take 8 as well. 23 after 3 for Salmons and 23 after 3 for Holbrook. Currently tied. In case anyone has any questions about when I'm suddenly changing scores or anything, I am following the score down there. The official rules of the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour is bowler's call, bowler's responsibility to maintain all the scores. That's a right side half Worcester for Todd Holbrook. Chris Salmons, to the right of the headpin, drops 5. Working balls for both. Working boxes for both. Todd Holbrook takes 2. Once again. Salmons will take 1. No mark for either bowler. Mark's kind of drying up for these bowlers in this half, at least. Holbrook will leave 3 on the deck for 7. Salmons cleans up for a nice 10-box. 33 after 4 for Salmons. And 30 after 4 for Todd Holbrook. 1 box to go before our bowlers sit. Todd Holbrook is number 2 in Class C North Division 1. He's the number 3 seed in Class C North overall. Holbrook thin hit off the right. Salmons on the headpin. First time this game. Splits 8. 3-10. Holbrook's got the 7-8-4-5, actually. Pins mixed fairly well. He took 2 and left 2. He missed the object wood. Salmons will get a nice spare for his efforts. Teach a man to fish, they say, and you get salmons. That's an 8-box for Holbrook. It's 43 and a bonus after 5 for Salmons, and 38 after 5 for Todd Holbrook. Paul Metivier starts out with a 6 drop and a split. JT Lyonnais with an 8 drop and a split. Paul Metivier misses everything on the object. JT Lyonnais also misses. No mark for either bowler. Metivier will take 3 and leave 1 for a 9-box. Lyonnais, similar story. 9-box at the end of it all. 9 after 1 for both. Talk more about JT Lyonnais. His high single is 151. His high 5 is 597 this season with 32 strikes, 110 spares, and 116 tens. 51% perfect box percentage. Metivier drops 8. 6-10. Lyonnais' pins are still mixing. He splits 6, 7, 8, 10, 2. Metivier in the 6-10. Oh, and don't hurt it now, but he'll get a spare. JT on the object pin, but a little bit too full. Leaves the 7, no mark. Lyonnais will take 10. 19 after 2 for Lyonnais. 19 and a bonus after 2 for Paul Metivier. Paul Metivier is filling a spare. And here he goes. Here comes Paul Metivier working on a spare. His lucky lane from last game. He drops 7 and splits. JT Lyonnais drops 7 and splits as well. Got down there. It's the 2, 8, 10 for Lyonnais and the 4, 5, 10 for Metivier. Metivier fires first. And he tried to skate something away and Q shot the wood, but couldn't quite do it. JT Lyonnais, he can't quite get the kick on the 10. The piece of wood stops short right before it. Paul Metivier on the 5 and the 10 for a 10-box, and he'll split the difference for a 9. That's going to be 35 after 3 for Metivier, and I believe that will be a legal 10 for JT Lyonnais. Wait for the call, but that should be 29 after 3. JT Lyonnais 15 for 23 on the headpin with 10 splits this evening. 15 for 23 on the headpin for Metivier with 8 splits. And Paul Metivier punches 2. And JT drops 6. Drops 7, late falling pin. And Metivier punches awkward shot through the center on the head pin. JT with another shot on the object pin in another universe. That would have gone, but it doesn't. And Metivier will take a painful 7-box. And a 9-box for JT Lyonnais. 38 after 4 for JT Lyonnais, 42 after 4 for Paul Metivier. All scores are confirmed at this point. Paul Metivier starts out to the left of the head pin. Ball crossed over too much. JT direct on the head pins, drops 8, 2-4. And Paul Metivier leaves a 6-pack. JT, though, with a spare. Spare for Metivier. 9-box for Metivier. Spare for Lyonnais. Where does that leave us? JT Lyonnais 48 after 5 and a bonus. Paul Metivier 51 after 5 and a bonus. And those scores are all confirmed the whole way down. At the halfway point at halftime here on the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. And here comes Chris Salmons almost immediately. To the right of the head pin. Todd Holbrook is on the headpin but splits. Banana split for Todd Holbrook, 6 drop. And it was a 2 fill, by the way, for Chris Salmons. And he punches another. The banana split for Todd Holbrook continues to be a banana split. It's the 4-7, 6-10 leave. Chris Salmons trying to clean up for an 8 box. Leaves the 7 and the 8. It will be an 8 and a 6 box for Holbrook after all said and done. Waiting on the scores. I believe Salmons is at 53 after 6. And Holbrook, 44 after 6. That is confirmed. Chris Salmons to the left of the headpin. Drops 7, 1-3-7. Todd Holbrook. Ooh, he lemon drops. Lemon drop is a first ball punch out on the 4 of the 6 pin. $1 donation to Candlepins per cancer per occurrence. Chris Salmons sails through the void. It's also a $5 donation if you're on a mark. Oh, and a rough ball for Todd Holbrook on the second ball. Leaves 6 on the deck. That's a 7 for Chris Salmons. Painful 7. He missed twice. That punch for Todd Holbrook results in a 5 box. 49-7 for Holbrook. And 60-7 for Chris Salmons after all is said and done. Chris Salmons 9 for 27 on the headpin with 7 splits. Todd Holbrook 9 for 27 on the headpin with 5 splits. Salmons has more in fill totals, 27 to Holbrook 16. But Holbrook is averaging higher in fills at 5.3 to Salmons' 4.5. Holbrook on the headpin. Salmons not. Salmons is wildly off on the second ball. Here's Holbrook. Leaves the 3 and the 6 on the deck. And Salmons. Oh, a nice recovery by Salmons, but it's only a 10 box. Be a 9 box for Holbrook. 58-8 for Holbrook, 70-8 for Salmons. Salmons might be able to pull ahead here. We'll see what happens. It's funny, our away bowlers. No, excuse me. 2 of our bowlers are in green and 2 of our bowlers are in blue. Salmons is an away bowler. Holbrook is a home bowler. Head-to-head match tonight. JT and Paul in the blue are facing each other. All this color coding is very confusing. No headpin shot for any bowler here. For Salmons. Oh my goodness, he's left with the 1, the 2, the 5, the 7, the 8, and the 10. 1, 2, 4, 7, 9, 10 for Holbrook. He's on the object, he leaves the 2. It was a good shot and the right idea, but he just didn't take everything out. Salmons on the 1, takes 3, leaves 3. 7 box, 77. 9 box for Holbrook, 67-9. A painful 67-9. But it's a difference of 10, so it is still anyone's game here, really, when you think about it. It just comes down to a mark and a fill. Just get hot for just a brief moment. That's all you need to take points. And that's Salmons off to the left of the headpin. He can still spare that up, though. Just a working ball. Holbrook with a better leave. Missed the headpin, drops 7. 1, 2, 8. Oh, and Salmons, that's... Ooh, that could be big if Holbrook could spare this. Salmons only punches 1, no mark. Holbrook. Oh, and he misses 2. So Salmons now might have the advantage once again. Salmons will take 6 for 83. That will be the 3rd game for Chris Salmons. Officially, he'll lock it up mercifully. 76 for Todd Holbrook. And those scores are confirmed. 83-76, Salmons versus Holbrook, respectively. 3-game total of 287 for Salmons. 257 3-game total for Holbrook. Salmons and Holbrook. Salmons took the 3rd game by 30 and by 7 and takes the total by 30 as of right now. Salmons currently has 6 points to Holbrook's none at the moment. So back to JT Lyonnais and Paul Metivier starting right now. fast-moving action here tonight. No headman shot for either bowler. Lyonnais fills with 5. Lyonnais 1, 3, 6, 10 taken out, left the 8. Metivier 1, 2, 4, 7, 9, 10. He's left with the TV shot, the high-low jack with wood. That'll be a 10 box for Lyonnais, cleaning up. Good janitorial work, 63 and 6. Paul Metivier on the high-low jack. He punches hard on the head pin, and it'll be an 8. Talking about Paul Metivier, season record 67 and 45 with 8 matches played, 30 and 26 at home, 37 and 19 went away. Season average 109.30, 105.4 home average, 113.2 away average. JT Lyonnais not in the head pin, and Paul Metivier splits 7, 4, 6, 3. JT left with a 1, 2, 7. No mark. Metivier. Oh, 2 almost takes 3. The 3 and the 6 don't take the 4, though. JT will take a 9. On the object pin, but just no mercy down there. On lane 32. On lane 31, meanwhile, Paul Metivier will take a 10. 72 and 7 for JT Lyonnais and 69 and 7 for Paul Metivier. Scores are confirmed. Lyonnais. Half Worcester on the right, punches the 3 and the 9. Metivier in the 1-3 pocket. Oh, it looked like a great ball, but what the heck was that? Yeah, his reaction is my reaction, really. JT almost gets a backdoor spare off of the Worcester. Yeah, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10 for Paul Metivier. That was a headpin shot, if you could believe that. He punches. No mark. Lyonnais will mark it up. Or, sorry, 10 it up for 82 and 8. Paul Metivier will take an 8. 82 Lyonnais, 77 Metivier at the end of the 8th. Talking about headpin shots for JT Lyonnais, 16 for 28 with 10 splits, 17 for 28 for Metivier with 10 splits. So still relatively even for our bowlers overall. Split 6 drop for Lyonnais, 7, 10, 4, 2. Metivier. Headpin, split, 4, 6, 3, 10. Here comes JT. Oh, and you saw that. That face said it all. He completely whiffed it. Here comes Paul Metivier in the 4, 6, 3, 10. He's off as well. Lyonnais will take an 8. 90 and 9. Metivier on the 3, 4. 8 box. 85 and 9. Appreciate you watching this Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tours, this Class B and E action at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Chris Salmons, Todd Holbrook, Paul Metivier, JT Lyonnais, and I'm Steve Kelly. And that's a 9 drop for JT, leaves the 5. Metivier. To the right of the head pin, drops 6, 1, 3, 6, 10. JT Lyonnais on the single pin, 5. King pin, it goes. Of course it goes. Metivier leaves the 3 and the 10 wiggling on the deck. And it'll be a 9 box. And that's 7 fill for JT Lyonnais. I believe that's going to put him at 107 to Paul Metivier's 94. So JT Lyonnais is coming back alive, taking the total once again and the third game. So it's a very competitive match between JT Lyonnais and Paul Metivier. A difference of 6 in the total, 331 to 325. JT Lyonnais took the third game by 13. 4 points Lyonnais, 2 points Metivier, but the total is flip-flopping around. The total is 30 between Salmons and Holbrook. All right, back to the action. Start of the 4th. Salmons drops 9. Holbrook drops 6. Holbrook is just off. And Salmons, he'll take a spare. Great opener for Salmons so far. And Holbrook will take 8. Holbrook to the right of the head pin. Pin still mixing, drops 6. Salmons is off to the left. 2-fill, a painful 2-fill. Had to stop to even confirm what that even was going to be. No mark for other bowlers. The 1-2-9 for Holbrook. The 1, the 2, the 5, the 8, the 6, and the 10 for Salmons. 8. 8 for Holbrook, 7 for Salmons. 16 after 2 for Holbrook. 19 after 2 for Salmons. Scores confirmed. At Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, Todd Holbrook to the right of the head pin. For Salmons, on the head pin, drops 7. Split 7, 4-6-2. Holbrook's got the center diamond and a left side back Candlepin corner. 3 drop, 7 up. Punches 1, no mark. For Salmons, sails right through the center. Sailing away. Talk about Chris Salmons a little bit more. His high single 125, high 560. 6 box for Holbrook. 9 box for Salmons. Perfect box percentage of 40 for Chris Salmons this season. Seasonal total pins 54-40. He's number 4, 4th place in E North Division 2 and the 6th seed in Class E North overall. Holbrook on the head pin drops 8, splits 8. 6-7, and it's a 6-pack for Salmons. Check his ID. Check his ID. There's 2 versions of the 6-pack, the left half and the right half. This is the right half that you're looking at right now. Holbrook can't quite make the 6 take the 7. Salmons drinks for the 6. Drinks responsibly. Holbrook is looking to clean up. He'll take a 9. 31 and 4. Salmons 37 and 4 with his 9 box. Todd Holbrook is the 12th highest Class E North average at 97.35. The 5th Class E North high single at 136. Holbrook drops 7 and split. 5, 9, 10 setback. Salmons not in the head pin right side at 4 horsemen, 1, 3, 6, 10. Todd Holbrook on the 1, the 9, and the 10. He'll miss to the left. Chris Salmons on the 1, the 3, the 6, and the 10. Nearly takes them all, but can't quite do it. And Holbrook will take a 9. And Salmons, we got to pause for a piece of wood to be investigated and cleared. Except I think it's in, and they also forgot to disable ball detection, so we're going to see where that takes us. Todd Holbrook is at 40 after 5. That is confirmed. So that wood is legal. And he'll play it for a 10. JT said he could use it, so he did. 47 after 5 for Salmons and 40 after 5 for Holbrook. The lead is 7 in Salmons' favor, and Salmons has been in the lead everywhere tonight. 34 to 297 is their current total. All right, back to Paul Metivier and JT Lyonnais. Paul Metivier starts out, not on the head pin, drops 6. Lyonnais drops 7. Metivier will spare it up. And Lyonnais will spare it up. Everyone is sparing it up here at Leda Lanes. Dueling spares for JT Lyonnais, Justin Lyonnais, and Paul Metivier, respectively. That was a 7 fill for Lyonnais. Metivier had a 4 fill. Metivier will take 9 after all is said and done, and an 8 box for JT Lyonnais. 25 after 2 for Lyonnais, and 23 after 2 for Metivier. I think. Waiting for the score to be fixed down there, and I'll confirm in just a moment. Excuse me, apparently a 7 box for Lyonnais. I think. Emphasis on think. There's a lot of thinking going on down there right now. Yes, okay, never mind. 24 after 2 for Lyonnais, apparently. 23 after 2 for Paul Metivier. All right. Oh, and Paul Metivier is just off to the left. JT Lyonnais drops 7-1-6-10 down there. Paul Metivier's got the 1-3-6-4-7-9. Oh, and he punches the 3, and that's it. Heartbreaking ball right there. JT Lyonnais, meanwhile, 1-6-10. Punches the 1, leaves the 6 and the 10. That'll be a 7 for Paul Metivier. JT will take a 10. 34 and 3 for Lyonnais, and 30 after 3 for Metivier. Oh, and it looks like his second frame was corrected to an 8, so there we go. I knew something was wrong. Okay, 35 after 3 for Lyonnais. I was going to say, I swear he had one more, and they just fixed it. And Metivier will drop 7, split 7, 3, 9, 10. Lyonnais on the head pin and a strike, a rack ripper for JT Lyonnais. And Metivier, not to be outdone, will take a spare of his own. And nope, that's not it. My instant replay system is doing strange things tonight, so my apologies about that. I'm going to figure that out later on. Paul Metivier. Right now, filling a spare. Fills with 6. JT will drop 7 so far. Right side diamond for Metivier, and the right side triangle for JT. Oh, and the diamond wins again. Oops. Sorry about that. For Paul Metivier. JT Lyonnais, he'll take 1 and leave 2. Both players struggling a bit here. Metivier 9. And that'll be a 10 for Lyonnais with an 8 fill, I believe. 63 after 5 for Lyonnais. 55 after 5 for Paul Metivier. Scores are confirmed. All scores confirmed the whole way around. Here halfway through the 4th on the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. Double header B&E, Class B, Class E, Northern Conference action here at Leda Lanes. Here comes Chris Salmons. Splits 8, 5 and... Oh no, late falling pin. Holbrook to the right of the head pin. Drops 6, 1, 2, 6, 10. Salmons, he'll nudge down a spare. Holbrook leaves 2, no mark. That'll be a 10 for Todd Holbrook. 50 after 6. And 57 and a bonus after 6 for Chris Salmons. Scores are confirmed. Chris Salmons, that's the 6th highest Class E North average at 98.95. Number 8th Class E North high single at 125. There's Chris Salmons on him. Ooh, and he quarter Worcesters it. A 1 fill, and that's just... You hate that shot. And it's like illogical, it makes no sense, but it just happens. That's a 6-pack for Todd Holbrook. Check his ID. Todd Holbrook with his bucket of Bud Lights. And that's a 6-pack for Chris Salmons as well. It's contagious. Right side 6-pack, left side 6-pack, a 12-pack for both bowlers combined, and that'll be an 8-box for Todd Holbrook. 58-7. Chris Salmons on his 6-pack. He drinks responsibly as well. Only takes 1 for a 5-box. Oops, sorry. Todd Holbrook has 1 more ball. Now it's an 8. Now it's officially an 8. 58-7 for Todd Holbrook, and 63-7 for Chris Salmons. Those scores are all confirmed. Hope you're enjoying this match here at the Atlanta Candlepin Singles Tour. This is the best place to watch some of the most exciting Candlepin matches from a wide selection of bowlers from all skill levels. We're having a fantastic time at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire on Amherst Street. It's an 8-drop for Chris Salmons. Wasn't on the head pin, got a nice mix. Todd Holbrook to the right of the head pin. Drops 5, leaves 5. 1, 2, 4, 7, 8. Chris Salmons on the 1 and the 8. Chris Salmons. He's off the object pin, leaves the head pin. Todd Holbrook on the pack of 5. Takes 2, leaves 3. 1, 2, 7 left. No mark for either bowler. Chris Salmons will finish off 9 or 10 box. He'll take a 10. That's 73-8. Todd Holbrook on the 1, 2, 7. He'll take a 7 as well. 65-8 for Todd Holbrook. Chris Salmons, 12 for 38 on the head pin tonight, filling 30 in bonus pins, averaging 3.8 per mark with 8 splits. Todd Holbrook, 12 for 38 on the head pin with 7 splits, totaling 16 in fills, averaging 5.3 per mark. Todd Holbrook is off to the left, drops 3 on the left side Candlepin corner, and Salmons will left side half Worcester it on the 2 and the 8. Working balls for both. Holbrook fires first on the head pin and nearly takes them all, and does take them all. Spares it up 75-9. And so does Todd Holbrook. Excuse me, they both spared it up. Sorry, they had a bit of a scoring issue and just a brief moment of being stunned there for a moment. That's a 5 fill for Chris Salmons. Todd Holbrook going a painful lemon drop and a 1 fill on his spare. Chris Salmons wins the spare fill lottery. Salmons on the object pin a little bit too hard. Leaves the 4 and the 7. And Todd Holbrook heard an audible groan from that release. Leaves 4 on the deck. No mark for either bowler. Salmons might have this 4th game. That's a 10 box and a 98. He will have the 4th game. Holbrook can't come back from that. He can have a maximum of 86 here. It'll be 85 with that 9 box. Chris Salmons will take the 4th game, 98 to 85. The scores are confirmed. Chris Salmons still batting 1,000 so far right now. 6 points, 8 points to Holbrook's 0 right now. It's the Chris Salmons show tonight. Teach a man to fish, they say. The JT Lyonnais with an 8 drop, not on the head pin. And a split for Paul Metivier. JT will not take a spare. Metivier will punch. And Lyonnais will punch for a 10. 73-6. Metivier on the 3, 7, 10. He'll take none for a 7. 73-6 for Lyonnais. 62-6 for Paul Metivier. Lyonnais hard punch down the center. It's a 7-10 split. Metivier off to the right, drops 5, 1, 2, 4, 7, 9. JT Lyonnais. Oh, well, he almost gets a pretty kick and a hockey skate on the 7-10 split, but the 10 doesn't fall. Metivier is a little bit too hard down the center, leaves the 2, the 4, and the 7 on the deck. JT takes 10. 83 in 7. Paul Metivier on the 2-4-7 for a 10 box. He'll take a 9 for 71 in 7. JT Lyonnais 22 for 37 on the head pin with 13 splits. Paul Metivier 21 for 37 on the head pin with 13 splits. And he's a little bit hard down the center. 4 split spread, 5 drop, almost a spread eagle, and then the 7 pin fell late. Metivier drops 8, leaves the 1 and the 3. JT Lyonnais, he leaves 3 on the deck. The 2 and the 4 for Lyonnais, and just the head pin for Paul Metivier. 9 for Lyonnais. Metivier will take a 9 as well. 80 and 8 for Paul Metivier, and 92 and 8 for JT Lyonnais. If you're just tuning in, this is the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour, a season-long series of one-on-one Candlepin bowling matches between challengers organized into classes and divisions, competing for playoff contention. It's JT Lyonnais. He was off the left, drops 4. Metivier on the 3 pin. Both bowlers missing the head pin. JT knocks a pin into another lane. See ya. It's now lane 33's problem now. But no mark. No mark for both bowlers as Nick Stussy yells, stop ruining my pins. JT will take a 7. Metivier 8. 88 and 9 Metivier, 99 and 9 Lyonnais. Those scores are confirmed. Just a difference of 11 between our two bowlers as we close out the 4th game of 5. Lyonnais and Metivier. Mostly the JT Lyonnais show so far. And that's a split for Metivier as he raises his arms in protest. Lyonnais wasn't on the head pin on the first ball. The second ball is on the head pin, but he leaves 3 on the deck. 7-8, 10-4-2 for Paul Metivier. He's off target to the left. Lyonnais will take a 9 for 108. That will be the 4th game for JT Lyonnais. Paul Metivier will take 8 for 96 and 10. Oops. And that will be the 4th game for all of our bowlers. 108 to 96. Confirmed for JT Lyonnais and Paul Metivier. 4-game total of 439 for JT Lyonnais. 4-game total of 421 for Paul Metivier. The total is in JT Lyonnais' hands by 18, and he took the 4th game by 12. Chris Salmons took the 4th game by 13 and has the total by 43. 385 to Todd Holbrook's 342. Currently 6 points for JT Lyonnais and 2 points for Paul Metivier, 8 points for Chris Salmons, and 0 points for Todd Holbrook. As we go into the 5th, JT Lyonnais is currently the leader of head pins. So we are now going to move on to the 5th and final game, which is technically worth 6 points if you can wrest back the total. We're going to find out who can do just that. That's a split and a head pin shot for Todd Holbrook. Chris Salmons is off target. And Holbrook had the 7-10 split. He had a rough leave to deal with. Salmons almost gets... Well, he gets everything but the 8 and the 9. It'll be Holbrook versus the 10 pin. And I believe that's going to be a 10 box. Well, nope, he marks it as no. He shook his head no. Fouled 9 for Todd Holbrook. Always appreciate the sportsmanship on that. That is legitimately a difficult thing to call and mark down. Especially at fast action like Candlepin bowling. It's one of those things. It's sort of like in football with refereeing where the action is so fast. But unlike football, the players do not make the calls. In bowling, the bowlers do. At least in most leagues in the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour, that is. That'll be a 9 box for Chris Salmons. 9 after 1 for both. Hope you're enjoying this match. I've been switching in between the back and the front cam because the front camera is wireless and subject to some radio interference, so when it starts to get a little choppy, that's when I'm going to attempt to cut away from it. But we always like to see those bowlers' faces and reactions, so try to switch back to it any time we can. That's a strike by Chris Salmons. Enough of my yakking. That's 19 in a bonus after 2. And Holbrook misfire. Still working on his 7 drop for a 10 box now. 7-9-5 for Mr. Holbrook. Mr. Bucket of Buds Holbrook. It'll be a 7-second box for Todd Holbrook. 13 for 42 on the headpin for Chris Salmons with 8 splits, totaling 35 and fills, averaging 3.5 per mark. Todd Holbrook, 14 for 42 on the headpin, 9 splits, totaling 17 and fills, averaging 4.3 per mark. That's Todd Holbrook on the headpin with a split. Left side setback. Chris Salmons on his strike fill opening ball is a 7 with 1 to go. Todd Holbrook. Oh, right on the object pin, but 2 full. Leaves a 7 in the 8. Chris Salmons, he punches 1. That'll be an 8 fill on his strike. 8 fill on the strike for Salmons. Holbrook will take 8. Sails through the goalpost. We can't give him 3 points, but we'll give him 8 for the effort. 9 box for Salmons, 36 and 3. It's Chris Salmons on the left in the green, and Todd Holbrook on the right in the green. Holbrook perfect on the headpin this game, but also perfect on splits this game. Here's Todd Holbrook on the headpin once again, really figuring out that headpin first ball. Drops 9. Salmons drops 7, missed the headpin 1-4-8. Todd Holbrook on the 5 pin, and he's way off target, sails off to the right. It's the 1-4-8 for Chris Salmons. He punches the 4, or kicks the 4. That'll be a 9 box for Todd Holbrook. Chris Salmons will take a 10 for 46 and 4. Todd Holbrook 33 and 4. Stay with us for all the action as Chris Salmons battles Todd Holbrook, and then waiting in the wings is JT Lyonnais against Paul Metivier in this 5th and final game here on the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour of the ACST on ACST TV. That's Todd Holbrook on the headpin once again in a 9 drop on the 4 pin, the only one standing. Headpin shot for Chris Salmons and a split for 6-7 now after pins mixed down. Holbrook misses. No dice. That could have been a single pin spare opportunity. Chris Salmons has to basically cue shot that wood to get both pins. And he thought of that. He only took 1 though. No luck. 10 box for Holbrook. Missed the second, get the third. 43 and 5. Perfect on the headpin. 55 and 5 for Chris Salmons. That's the state of the half. 55 and 5 for Chris Salmons and 43 after 5 for Todd Holbrook. Look at that wall of green. All those headpin shots for Todd Holbrook in particular. You know, we can find, you know, the strongest steel is forged in the fire of a dumpster. And with Todd Holbrook, you know, let's bring the positive out of that. The headpin shots, the perfect headpin shots for Todd Holbrook. So, you know, positive vibes. Anyways, let's see. Paul Metivier and JT Lyonnais next. Paul Metivier with a left side half Worcester. JT Lyonnais with a split, late falling 7 drop, yes. No mark for Metivier, no mark for Lyonnais. Be a 10 box for Lyonnais and an 8 box for Metivier to start out. State of the world for JT Lyonnais, 24 for 41 on the headpin with 15 splits, totaling 67 in fills, averaging 6.7 per mark. Paul Metivier, 22 for 41 on the headpin with 14 splits, totaling 64 in fills, averaging 6.4 per mark. Split for Metivier, and a slow falling 9 drop for Lyonnais, leaving the 7 and a Home Depot by the 7 pin guarding it. Metivier on the... Wow. Look at that face. He slid the 6 pin a little bit. That's a spare for JT Lyonnais all the while. 20 after 2 and a bonus. Paul Metivier On the 6 and the 10. He'll clean up. It was what was left of a spread eagle that ended up being turned into a 10 box. So it was great work by Paul Metivier. Here comes Paul Metivier, 18 after 2 to the right of the head pin. JT Lyonnais drops 6. Fills with 6. 26 after 2. Here comes Paul Metivier. He's just off the target pin. JT Lyonnais could be a layup, and it is. Spare for Lyonnais, 2 in a row, 36 after 3. This is how the momentum gets started. And that'll be a 9 box for Paul Metivier, 27 after 3. And I'm Steve Kelly on the call for the Atlanta Candlepin Singles Tour and 3-Ball Spare Conglomerate. It's great to have you along with us on this Wednesday night, WNB Wednesday night bowling at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. That's a 6 drop for Paul Metivier. Right side check mark, and the fill for Lyonnais, I believe, is going to be 3. 4, actually. Nope, it is 3. I can't count. Metivier, no mark, leads to 6-10. Lyonnais almost gets this crazy, spinny backdoor Julian spare, but he leaves the 10, or the head pin. That's a 10 box for Metivier, 37 after 4, and a 10 box for Lyonnais, 49 after 4. And all these scores are confirmed. Yes. Lyonnais 2 mark, 49 after 4. Metivier markless, 37 after 4. Here comes Paul Metivier. And that ball was, wow, that was a great looking ball on paper, but he splits 8, 5-7. Split 5, Lyonnais, 7-10, 4-6-3. Comes Paul Metivier. Oh, and he just misses a little bit, leaves the 5 and the 7. Lyonnais punches the 6 and the 10, leaves the 3, the 4, and the 7 on the deck. No mark for either bowler. Metivier is just trying to pick a stick, and he can't quite pick any stick. That's 45 after 5. And with that 9 box for Lyonnais, it's 58 after 5. Lyonnais still in the lead, 58 to Metivier's 45. A difference of 13 in the game. Lyonnais has the total by 31 at this point, 497 to Metivier's 466. Lyonnais with 8 points, Metivier with 2. 497 to 466 in the grand total pinfall as of right now. Say hello to Chris Salmons and Todd Holbrook. Chris Salmons, I don't know where that ball went, but didn't hit any pins. Holbrook's on the head pin. 6 drops, 7, 9, 10, 6. Split. Salmons. He's off to the left on the second ball. 4 drop. Holbrook will punch 1. Admittedly, tough shot. Chris Salmons punches a little bit hard. He'll take a 6 box for his efforts. And Holbrook will take an 8. 51 and 8. 61 and 6 for Chris Salmons. 51 and 6 for Todd Holbrook. Todd Holbrook once again still perfect on the head pin, and he broke the streak of splits, which is a fantastic, fantastic thing to do. But Chris Salmons, it's still the Chris Salmons story tonight in terms of the points. And Chris Salmons drops 9, leaves the 10 on the deck. Todd Holbrook drops 9 of his own. It'll be a single pin spare duel here. It's time to duel. And Chris Salmons misses the 10. Todd Holbrook on the 8 with the wood all around it. Home Depot, and he'll take a spare. Todd Holbrook with a spare. Chris Salmons will take a 9. So Chris Salmons, 70 and 7. Holbrook, 61 and a bonus and 7. He could come back here. We'll see. Stay tuned. Salmons to the right of the head pin. 4 drop. Holbrook on a spare. Oh, and it's a heartbreaker of a half Worcester 2 fill on the 2 and the 8. Salmons Almost runs it back for a spare, leaves the 3. Todd Holbrook. Oh, and he'll complete the trip to Worcester. That's a sad one-way or two-way ticket to Worcester for Todd Holbrook, and that's a 10 box for Chris Salmons all the while. So this might... Ooh, my goodness, he sails through the void. Goes to Worcester, comes back from Worcester, and decides to go back to Worcester. 4 box for Todd Holbrook, 67 and 8, and 80 and 8 for Chris Salmons. And those scores are confirmed. It's check mark for Salmons, 6 drop. Holbrook to the left of the head pin, lemon drops the 4 pin and only the 4 pin. Lemon drop. $1 donation to Candlepins per cancer per occurrence. Salmons takes 2 and leaves 2. No mark. Holbrook. Remedial ball leaves 3. Salmons will take an 8. For 88 and 9. Salmons has been hot and cold on the head pin in this game. And Holbrook, he's finally off the train of... Excuse me, that's a 7 for Holbrook. He's finally off the train of head pins. 74 and 9 for Todd Holbrook and 88 and 9 for Chris Salmons. Salmons on the head pin. He drops 8. It's the 2 and the 5. And Holbrook not on the head pin. The 1, the 5, the 2, and the 9. Salmons. He'll get a spare finally to close things out. 98 in the ball. That might close the door for Todd Holbrook. Entirely possible that Todd Holbrook will go home without any points tonight, unfortunately. That's a 7 box for Todd Holbrook, 81 and 10, 423, 5 game total. For Salmons is at 483 and counting. 81 is confirmed for Todd Holbrook. We'll assess the scores in just a moment between these two for the final time tonight. Chris Salmons filling the spare on the head pin. Oh, it was nearly a strike. Nice way to close it out with a 107 and a 492. 5 game total for Chris Salmons. Putting an exclamation point on that, so Chris Salmons will take everything a shutout victory against Todd Holbrook. 14 points for Chris Salmons, 0 points for Todd Holbrook. That's big for Chris Salmons in the playoff contention in particular. Chris Salmons taking the total by 69 and taking the 5th game by 26. So, big night for Chris Salmons tonight. Teach a man to fish and he will boil the ocean. And that's a split for JT Lyonnais. And Metivier will drop 9. Lyonnais, no mark. Leaves 1 on a split, a difficult split. Metivier, oh. Did a bit of a dance down there, but he missed. Lyonnais will also miss for a 9. 67 and 6. Metivier will take a 9 as well. 67 and 6 for Lyonnais and 54 and 6 for Metivier. These scores are confirmed. So we're in the final stretch, so I want to thank a couple of folks before we pack up and head home for the evening. I'd like to thank our ACST committee members and our ACST League Commissioner, El Presidente, Danny Finn, our Class B Treasurer, Corey Alisi, and our Class E Treasurer, Maurice Perry. No mark for either bowler here. Our ACST statistician, Mike Amparato, especially lately for assisting in helping me generate stats a little bit faster. Basically, CSV files. Those are fantastic things when you can write scripts against them. And JT will take a 9 to start out, or to continue onward, in the 7th for 76, and that'll be a 10 box from Metivier, 64 in 7. I'd like to thank the staff at Leda Lanes, Nick Susi for doing some mechanical work for us tonight. I'd like to thank Steve Abodeely for some of the B-roll and photography you've seen during some of our downtimes in between. Check him out at stabadeely.com, S-T-A... I don't know what in the heck that was. I don't know if you guys heard that, but I think we just got attacked by aliens or something. The whole building just went completely silent. I think it was actually feedback from the PA system. Okay, yeah, everyone's a little bit shaken up from that, so, oh, God, okay. Give me 1 second to figure out what the heck just happened there. I think that was, yes, a spare for Paul Metivier. And JT Lyonnais will take a 9. Sorry about that. Yeah, that was quite a, that was something. You know, something new always happens every time you stream bowling, and that was definitely something. Stay tuned next week when we launch a live nuke during the broadcast. JT Lyonnais drops 6, and Metivier will drop 6, not on the head pin, and Phil with 6. Lyonnais left with a 4 and the 7. Metivier, nice spare. And that'll be a 9 box for JT Lyonnais. So double spare for Paul Metivier, 90 and a ball in the 9th, and 93 in 9. Sorry, it's going to be a fouled 8 apparently for JT Lyonnais. My mistake. Always the bowler's call, and great sportsmanship, of course. JT Lyonnais on the head pin and almost closes out with a strike. Definitive ball, looked like a strike on paper. Paul Metivier filling a double spare. On the head pin, and oh, he almost does the same thing, just the inverted version. 99 and 9 for Paul Metivier, and 93 and 9 for JT Lyonnais. JT, he'll take the spare, he'll take that out, run it back for 103 and a ball, 542 and counting. And Metivier will do the same thing, 3 spares in a row. Both bowlers going toe for toe, 542 to 530. So it could be 552 to 540 maximum. So we'll see what happens. Lyonnais is on the head pin, and his final ball is going to be an 8 fill. That will put him at 550 with a 111. Paul Metivier, final ball on the head pin. That's a 3 fill, not even a full complete eagle. And that is it. So the handshake has been done. It is the end of regulation here on the tour, on the Atlantic Campus Singles Tour. 111 to 112. Wow, it was a difference of 1 in the 5th and final game between Lyonnais and Metivier. Just a difference of 1. 550 to 533 for JT Lyonnais and Paul Metivier. Difference in the game by 1. A difference in the total by 17. 550 to 533. And give me one moment while I just send the stats to the main computer to give you the final word. Here are the final stats for tonight. JT Lyonnais will take 10 points. Paul Metivier will take 4. Chris Salmons will take 14 points to Todd Holbrook's 0. 5 game total of 550 for JT Lyonnais, 533 for Metivier, 492 for Chris Salmons, and 423 for Todd Holbrook. Those are your final scores for the final time tonight. In terms of the perfect box percentages, it was all about JT Lyonnais tonight, 56%, far and away above everybody else. In terms of the head pins, it was also JT Lyonnais' night, 60%, but Paul Metivier wasn't too far behind, 29 for 50 versus JT Lyonnais' 30 for 50. But it all comes down to the fill totals. But again, Metivier and Lyonnais were neck and neck, 84 and 82 in the totals, averaging 6.5 per mark for JT Lyonnais and 6.3 per mark for Paul Metivier. For Salmons and Holbrook, Salmons went 18 for 50 on the head pin, Holbrook went 19 for 50 on the head pin. And split-wise, Salmons and Holbrook had fewer, and Lyonnais and Metivier had more, but bear in mind they also hit the head pin more. 18 splits for JT Lyonnais in particular. That was quite a bit, but he still came out victorious with 10 points. JT Lyonnais will go to 90 and 64. Paul Metivier will go to 71 and 55. Chris Salmons will go to 102 and 66. Todd Holbrook will fall to 102 and 66. So their records are going to be actually the same. Believe it or not. Wow, we hit the jackpot on that. So again, these matches are always big in terms of playoff contention. And Chris Salmons and Todd Holbrook in particular were really close to one another. So that's big news for future matches and standings. Anyways, so hope you enjoyed this match on the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. If you want to check out my Candlepin content, check out 3 Ball Spare on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. I'll appreciate you if you go out and see all the shorts, highlights, full matches, and more over there. And there's also plenty of There's also plenty of other stuff to check out, such as Candlepin Bowling Network on YouTube, Candlepin Corner on YouTube, 3-Ball Spare on YouTube, the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour page on Facebook, at Candlepin Bowling on TikTok. There is... Why does it keep doing that to me? There's Candlepin Chat on Facebook, Alley Chat on alleychat.net, and youtube.com/alleychat. And there's a couple of YouTube channels for classic Candlepin bowling shows. And there's also Ripping the Rack and The Approach for Podcasts. There's Tony Levesque and Charlie Collins on TikTok. Also, check that out. Check that out Candlepins4cancer.com. Candlepins number 4cancer.com if you want to donate to a great cause, a great charity organization for helping bowlers or folks in the bowling community, in the Candlepin bowling community in need for cancer treatment and assistance and all that. It's run by Al Johnson and Paul Grants. So check that out, Candlepins for Cancer, for tournaments, or if you just want to donate, whichever it is. And also check out candlepin.org and click Go Bowling to find your nearest center. Any center will always appreciate your business and visitation, or if you want to just come out and meet some of us, always appreciate it. So anyways, for JT Lyonnais, Paul Metivier, Chris Salmons, and Todd Holbrook, it's been great broadcasting this for you. I've been Steve Kelly, and we'll see you at the next Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. Have a great one, everybody. Good night.